And a controversial letter from Senate Chief Whip Kang'ata to the President has stirred debate on the fate of proposed constitutional changes, with his startling claim that BBI is unpopular in central Kenya. And that exploded like a stray New Year Day firecracker. Now, on Newsnight tonight, we host Kimunya, a leader in that restless region, but more importantly, the majority leader in Parliament, who is expected to whip MPs to support the government's agenda. Honorable Kimunya, thank you so much for making time for us on Newsnight. Karibu sana. And I know you have had time to digest the contents of Kang'ata's letter, and that's where I want to start from. Let's put his arguments aside. I'm sure you're back from holiday. Probably during that holiday, you might have spent some time in Kipipiri, where you hail from. And just like Kang'ata, you probably had a chance to ask members there, constituents there, what do you think about BBI? What sort of feedback did they give you, Honorable Kimunya? Because according to Kang'ata, the feedback they gave him has got him worried.
Let's just start by saying BBI process did not begin in December. It's a process that began 2 years ago. Kenyans gave, in their thousands, in their hundreds of thousands, they gave their opinions on what they would want done, which culminated in the first report that was then launched and taken for validation. So over a 2-year period, people have been talking about BBI. Well, let's put it this way. From March of 2018, with the handshake, the Building Bridges initiative was launched. So BBI is not a new thing. And people have been giving their views, and they have certain expectations. But, so when you now say people don't support BBI, right? What aspect of BBI are you saying they don't support?
Okay.
Because BBI has several components. There's the policy issues, there's administrative issues, there's legal issues, and there's constitutional issues.
And we are going to get deeper into that first.
Each of those components.
I was hoping you'd answer my question that did you also get to ask your constituents?
Exactly.
Okay.
That's what I'm
and
getting.
What did they tell you?
So I've been with my people. We've gone through the process. We've gone through the validation process. And they know that they have certain expectations from the BBI process. Right? But what they have not been told, is you wanted 1, 2, 3. This is where it's represented because your issues are policy, your issues are administrative, your issues are legislative, your issues are constitutional. That conversation has not taken place. Because after the launch of the Bomas report, right, the next thing that happened is let's first of all take the first slice, which is urgent, the constitutional, through a signature process. People who are tested, who put their signatures, were taken through what are you signing to. Now, not everyone was taken through that. Okay? So those who signed knew what they were signing for. Now, the others are waiting for, once we go through IEBC, and IEBC say this document is good to go, to be taken to the county assemblies, and then to Parliament, and then to the people. Then, at each of those processes, you then take, as you take it to the counties, you then call the county assemblies and explain to them, this is what you will be debating and passing. As you go to Parliament, I'll be taking members of Parliament and taking them, this is the bill that has been brought to us.
How different is that bill? Because it sounds like you're saying there could be more in store than what we know. This is the BBI that I'm talking about. I'm talking about the one that proposed the creation of a prime minister.
No, this is the BBI constitutional bill.
Which would lead
Which is only one of the components of the BBI. BBI process has many components.
Okay.
So people looking for where is our minimum guaranteed returns on coffee, on agriculture, that's not constitutional, but it's in the report, right? But immediately you push 35% of money, of national revenue to the counties, and agriculture is one of the devolved functions. You're basically saying, can county government allocate some of this money to even create the guaranteed minimum returns funding or guaranteed agricultural insurance funding within your counties, so that people who grow potatoes may require a different amount than those who grow coffee
or
who grow miraa.
And I apologize for interrupting you. If some of those changes don't require a constitutional change, as a majority leader, why don't you pass them through parliament without BBI?
Some don't even need parliament. But
some of them don't even need parliament.
But you see, it's what we need to look at BBI is not just a constitutional bill. People need to look at BBI from a bigger perspective, right? It's not be done in the next 1 year. It will not be done in the next 6 months. It could even take 5 years. But if we now look at the bill, which is what people tend to think about, this is a legal bill. For even a typical layman to understand that bill, they need to be taken through. What does change to Article 10A mean? What does a change to Article 11A mean? What does a change, the amendment to Article 203 mean? Yeah? Now, that education would only come after the validation of exercises or signatures by IEBC. So, for anyone to now start thinking that people don't support or support, yeah, you are doing a survey on a population that does not even know the product. Yeah? It's like asking Kenyans now, what do you think of the product? It's like asking Kenyans in Nairobi, what do you think of the AstraZeneca vaccine, which has not even come here.
But a launch happened here at Bomas with His Excellency the President and former ODM leader Raila Odinga.
And it was taken to people and told, read the report.
Yes, I believe that's what they're
What was launched? It's not the bill, the report. And the report has all those components. So there are people who read the report and say, oh, we can see with all these things will come. But now the implementation of that report is in phases. And the first one is, let's do the bill, the constitutional bill, because there's a timeline. And then it also has a process. The first thing is collect signatures, because they have to go through popular initiative. Take the signatures to IEBC. Once IEBC says this 1 million signatures have been achieved out of 4 point something million, then the bill will be referred to the county assemblies. 24 assemblies, immediately the first 24 assemblies pass the bill. Yeah, it's a bill, not questions, as some people have been confusing. It's a bill. Once 24 counties out of 47 approve the bill, then it comes to Parliament, both the two houses. And after that, it goes to the people, because obviously there are some sections. It's affecting 14 plus sections. Some of those require referendum issues. So you don't need to disentangle and say, take this, take that. Take the whole thing to the people. Let the people own the First Amendment. It's a historical moment. And again, I know you're not, I won't make you out to be a mind reader. Yeah. But what Kang'ata presented to the people that he met in that info, and he said it's not a scientific survey. Exactly. Because
I'm sure you speak to him. Did he explain to you exactly what he presented? Because your contention seems to be that the right information has not been presented.
In fact, what I know, because I was very keen on this, he even called a few people by phone, including members of parliament. What are people saying? Out of 10, how many people are supporting? Right? Now, that's not how you do research.
Agreed, and he
I'm a scholar.
Agreed to it.
You don't research like that. Research has been methodical. You have to know what is the research question. Do the respondents understand what you're asking them? Yeah? So you can't go people and find them in the local Mongedo and ask them, do you support BBI? First of all, do they even know what you're asking them? Which component of BBI are you asking them?
It's a 2-year process, Mheshimiwa, though.
No,
I'm sure they have a rough
idea. Which component are you asking them to approve? The administrative, the policy, the legal, or the constitutional? So, in which way, I think the issue is that whatever he did, whatever impression he got, first of all, it was not scientific. You cannot present evidence to people as a scholar. And he just received his PhD the other day. So he's a scholar. And he knows the laws of research. You cannot just go and do some random research out there without documenting it. And you go and say, based on research I've done, these are the findings. And these are my conclusions. Especially when you're even doubting your own methods. So I think the first thing we must say is any research that is based on doubtful methodology, a doubtful population, a doubtful sampling frame is already dubious. Okay? And we should not even be wasting time on it. But I suppose he heads his movement. It's a beginning of the year thing. Moses Kuria had the same thing in 2019 when in Thika he opposed something. And I believe people believe that around this time of the year, when news is dry, if you make any statement, it's likely to capture the mind of the people. And hence we had three. We had Honorable Alice Wahome making her statement, Honorable Isaac Mwaura making his statement, Honorable Kang'ata making his statement, and perhaps others would have followed suit if Kang'ata had succeeded. But I would want to ignore all that and say that Kenyans need to wait for IEBC to verify the signatures. Then the proponents of BBI will take the document to them. The opponents of BBI will go and tell them their story. They will then weigh the situation come around April, May, June, depending on the timeline given by ABC. And at that point, we'll be able to say how many people support or don't support. But at this point, it's premature.
Let me ask you this, and you're a veteran public servant, you've been in politics for a long time. You know that politics is a lot more sometimes about perception than anything else. Elections around the world, referendums around the world have been won or lost on perceptions alone when the facts may be very different. From a perception perspective, let's talk about that and BBI and this survey. Could BBI be suffering from a perception problem?
No, I actually believe, from my own...
I was hoping you'd tell me when you did your own survey.
From my own interaction,
yes,
is that people are saying, is BBI giving us this? Let's look at the mountain. What were people asking for as they went around the BBI? They were saying, we would want 1 man, 1 shilling, 1 vote. The equality of the vote, so that a place like, for a constituency like Ruiru, with 400,000 plus, should not be equated with Kibeperi, with 100,000, okay? A constituency like Kinangop with 200,000, should not be equated with Kibeperi, and we're getting the same CDF. So people want some equality of the vote, and it's there within Article 89 of the 2010 Constitution. A review should have been done to equalize all those. Some constituencies should have disappeared, others should have been harmonized so that we have equality of the vote. Then we all contribute to our taxes. Surely, when you are devolving services, a child in Muranga who receives 6,000 per capita is no different from a child in Lamu where they receive 22,000 per capita, right, from national revenue. So now, if you look at what would be the motivation of counties where they believe they are getting more because they have less population, it's in their interest to ensure the population does not increase. So they will not encourage migration into, They'll keep away people, whereas it's in the interest of Kenyans to integrate. Populations where they believe that they are getting less because the populations are large would want to push out as many people as possible. Is that the Kenya we want? Or we want a Kenya where everyone is welcome? So you need to go back to as much equality of the shilling being distributed from national coffers as possible so that nobody has that notorious incentive to keep away anyone or to chase away anyone, right? So there's a bigger issue about not just the money, for purposes of national integration.
Yes. Let me ask you this, because I also want to get your views on what could have been Kang'ata's motivation. It's been a big discussion. We've tried to reach Kang'ata, I must say. His phone has been off for the better part. If anyone's near him, please, we've been trying to look for him all day. Nevertheless, let me ask you this.
The guilt of
those who say that a lot of what was added to BBI later on as sweeteners, after different regions came and said our voices are not heard or felt, could have been added, could have been implemented either through parliament or some law by the president without BBI. What do you say to those who feel that these sweeteners are being added to make BBI attractive?
They are not sweeteners.
Because they don't necessarily need that constitutional change.
But any amendment that has been made within the BBI bill, the bill is affecting 14 articles within the Constitution. Why would you want to change an article in the Constitution if it's not necessary? Now, what I would want to hear from anyone is telling me, for example, amendment number this is not necessary. Nobody has itemized any of those. and said, for example, the amendment to Article 203 that equalizes allocation of revenue, or the amendment to Article 96, which gives powers to the Senate to oversight expenditure. You know, before, right now, Senate only oversees the national revenue. Mm-hmm. Now, the new amendment says Senate will oversight not just the national revenue given to the counties, but all revenue in the county and its expenditure, right? When you look at Article 79, there's an amendment that says the governor will be accountable to the county assembly. In 2010, it was left out. And hence, there's been a kind of a delinking where the governor is the CEO, but is not obligated to be accountable to the county assembly. Now, is that good or bad, right? No, I haven't actually found anyone who tells me that this thing is bad, yeah? People are saying, why did we have to do it, right? We're only doing it because it's good.
Why now, is what some are asking?
No, because it's a constitutional moment, yeah?
In the middle of a pandemic.
No, pandemic or no pandemic, life must continue, right? You know, we must learn to walk and chew gum at the same time, yeah? Okay? We've not stopped production, we've not stopped government because there's a pandemic. Pandemic will find us, vaccine will come and find us. We could get rid of COVID, yeah? And we have to go back to, to normal. But Kenya must be united, and we must do whatever we have to do within the constitutional changes to ensure that we can have long-lasting unity and no conflict post-election conflict.
Honorable Kimunya, I'll ask you to hold there because I've been warned that I'm due for a break. We still have more time, so I'll be coming back to you. And
I'm available.
And you're available. But tell me this before we take that break, then what was the motivation for Kang'ata? If you say his poll is unscientific, what, is he decamping to Tanga? Is that what you see as the end game?
No, the only way I look at it, and this is speculation, because he's not picking calls, so he can't tell us.
Has he picked your call?
He hasn't. So, which is very strange, because ideally, if you've done this, if you've been misquoted, you would want friends to understand you've been misquoted. Mm-hmm. But the only way I can think of is A, like I said, a Moses Kuria moment, which happened in 2019 of January. Alice Wahome did something, Isaac Maura did something, so perhaps he also felt I need to do something, yeah, so that I can steal the limelight at the beginning of the year and to be seen to be the advisor to the president. Remember, I'm not linking these two, but it could be related. The deputy president stood in Karen in Bomas during the launch of the document, and he raised a whole, a number of issues and said, "Oh, ABCD, you're interfering, blah 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 blah." What did we hear from him after that? That, oh, I raised issues, and because I raised those issues, the document has been reopened and been edited, and they have been included. But I can tell you, I know the team that was doing the editing, okay? I know, yeah? I know the team. I have very inside information.
You can't tell us who they are? So
I know.
We're all on the same page?
I know the team, all right? And I know the team that was doing it, and those who brought their memoranda to the team know who they were. But certainly there was no memorandum from the DP, right? In terms of the issues he raised and whether they should have been included in the document. But those issues were included in the document because the president, yeah, after consulting with so many other people, realized that, yes, there were some editorial issues that needed to be included. And that the difference between the document that came from Bomas and that was launched at KICC, through the editorial issues, yeah, all those were issues that were introduced into the document by the two principals, President Uhuru Kenyatta and Honorable Raila Odinga, right? And I know the team of 4 that was doing it. And at some point, we will reveal who the 4 were.
Okay, I have many more questions, including the inclusivity of that process. I mean, what if other people wanted to get their views in? It sounds like it was very...
No, they knew where to take. They knew where to take. Yeah, because there are only 2 principles of the document.
So you take it to the principals?
Exactly.
If you can't access them?
No, people had access.
Ordinary
The
Kenyans?
churches had access. The Muslims had access. The pastoralists had access. Anyone who wanted access, yeah? And certainly, who has more access than the deputy president?
Let's take that break there.
Okay.
You're watching Newsnight. Stay with us. Majority Leader Amos Kimunya, not pulling any punches. I still have a lot of questions for him, including the debt question. We'll be talking about that. And a little bit about the contents of that Kang'ata letter, whether scientific or not. Could he have valid points? We explore that and so much more when we come back. 22423 is the SMS line. Hashtag is Newsnight. We'll be right back.